Welcome to the No Ideas Original Podcast featuring Shyheim, Mr. Rob, and Zane. And today we are joined by the sixth man of the year, Kim. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, man? What's up? I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah, I was talking to Rob the other day, and I told Rob, I'm like, can y'all gonna fill in? He was like, yo, y'all got to get the sixth man of the year award for the fill-ins.
I'm on it. Whatever needed, I'm there.
Yeah, we got quite a few topics that we're gonna be discussing today. Current events, some stuff that we probably a little behind on, but nonetheless still worthy of a discussion. So let's get right into it. The first thing we're gonna talk about is hate crime report surged to highest level in 12 years. What do you attribute that to? What do you think that's about?
You know what's funny about that? I was thinking about it from a couple of ways. I do think it's probably still some residual stuff going on from the last presidential regime where people still feel some kind of way. But on top of it being more, is it that we use social media more? Is it that it could be the same as just being more reported or more publicized? Because I think everything seems to be more out in the open now, out front in the open. It might be that a combination that there is more, or it might just be more reported.
Yeah, I see you make a good point, because I think that the only thing that's really changed is probably the transparency issue around things. Like, things are more transparent, and I think there is a heightened level of awareness that we came off of. I wonder if there was no pandemic going on during like all the George Floyd stuff and everything, would it have received the same type of coverage, because everybody was in a position where we were forced to sit still and we had to listen to everything that was going on in terms of Black Lives Matter. And then we went right off of coming from Black Lives Matter to everything with the venom that was spewed as it relates to COVID. And I think the Asians kind of caught the back end of that. But I don't know if hate crime is up or just awareness.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably just that people are more aware and people are more hypersensitive to everything that's going on.
I think it's like what you said. Everybody had to sit down and pause for a minute and listen, and that was what was very readily available for people to see. So now, more people's eyes are open to the situation. Now, just looking at it, I don't see it decreasing. Like, I don't see anything happening that's going to buck the trend or turn it around, because once you open Pandora's box, it's kind of like, hard to bring it back. Some of the stuff, I think eventually some of the Asian hate from the virus stuff will probably slow down or something. Because I think that people are starting to understand more and more that was misguided to begin with. But I think as far as like the general African American stuff, that's been going for years, and I don't think that's going to change too much, or it's not changing at a pace that really would really affect people's mindset.
Yeah. I guess the other thing, like my thing when you start talking about these stats, like I think there are stats about stats for stats, and I think people know how to juke the numbers around the stats also, right? So all of these things may have been occurring before, but maybe it didn't get wrote up as a hate crime.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, because there's a magnifying glass on this stuff, and again, because everybody's hypersensitive, now it comes into play where people are watching a lot more closely around these things, and they're saying like, okay, so this now constitutes a hate crime. For all we know, and this is speculation, for all we know, there could be more federal funds allocated to police forces if they report that they're, hate crimes are on an uptick for different task force and stuff like that, because now you see the media coverage of it. I know a lot of people were extremely upset about how they felt the federal government was so responsive to the Asian hate crime stuff, and that this dude signed the executive order and everything. And one of the things I would say to people, that was like, well, Black people have been going through this forever. I'm like, this executive orders are something that could be wiped out when the next person come in. They could sign an executive order, doing away with the previous executive order. And that's why they was pushing for the George Floyd bill. But just to bring that all back around, I just say, like, I think that we are now in a time where there's levels of hypersensitivity around this stuff, and there's so much exposure, whether it be social media, the regular media, and it's a hot topic. So now every time you turn on the news and you see somebody going upside somebody's head, sadly, it just holds a lot more weight.
Because you see it, and people are sensitive to it. Everybody's aware to it.
Hmm.
And when you look at it, like some of the stuff, like even things that don't directly relate to rate, like different individual races and stuff, actually stimulate more hate. Because if you think about it from a minority perspective, look at how that whole storming of the Capitol was handled.
Hmm.
And how many people have you heard say something to the effect like, if that was a black person, what would happen?
Hmm.
If they stormed the Capitol. So, you look at those things as something, and it kind of like, what's saying, get people even more fired up because they see that, well, look at these guys, they go storm the Capitol. And you still haven't heard about anybody really getting arrested. They got arrested any real time or anything like that. So you got other things going on that stem it too. Like, right, I think they're having another one of those things, and they're actually building a fence around the Capitol now to prevent
Yeah.
people from doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, that's one of the things that I think that Donald Trump's presidency really did a good job of demonstrating how polarizing, how polarized we are as a country and as people. Like, the division has always existed, I think, between liberals and conservatives. But to me, I think he came in and, like Nas say he ultra black. This dude was like, he wasn't ultra conservative in the sense of his viewpoints, but he was ultra conservative. Like, he was like, ride or die, whatever is conservative, this is what we doing. And I think that created a divide and a wedge where his supporters and his base believe like anything that he said to a T. Like, if he told them this is the China flu, then there's people now out here assaulting Asian people under
Yeah.
that premise. If he tell them, well, they stealing an election from me, then there's people they going to storm the Capitol with a vengeance. And like, I know and I feel like he fanned the flames, and I know that they attempted to do the impeachment and get him on that. They weren't able to prove it, but I feel like that he incited a lot of this stuff, even beyond the Capitol. Like, even just the rhetoric. The rhetoric is divisive. Like, and you think about it, like, for years these same people have been critical of Farrakhan, talking about Farrakhan, all this hate rhetoric, but this dude pretty much came in to be on the president and did the same thing.
The scariest thing about it too is the fact that he didn't get impeached, which qualifies him to be able to run again. And I mean, looking at the situation now, and I mean, I think there's a lot of disdain for the stuff that Biden's doing as far as withdrawing troops and all this different stuff. So, I mean, there's a realistic chance that he could possibly get reelected.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that I've heard that have been extremely critical of like Biden's early on stuff. And like, has Biden made some missteps? I think so, but I think it's also easy to lose sight of that Biden is still in year one, and I think there's a lot of undoing. There's a lot of undoing that he has to do. And I think the other thing is that Democrats don't go to the mat as hard as they should in this, in Congress. Like, I think that they have to figure out this filibuster thing, because even with them having the majority, like there's really nothing that they could do. They're handcuffed on it. So I think that a combination of him and a combination of the Senate, like they have to figure some of this stuff out. Like, even with talking about like what you're saying, like the Afghanistan stuff. Like, remember around the time of 9/11, that was the wave around hate crime, attacking people that are Muslims, so it just, I don't know. Like, I don't know if now they're being more transparent and the data is out there. I don't know if this feeds into the news cycle or everything that we constantly being given as it relates to race and everything. And, I'm sure probably you could lump LGBT in that bucket also in terms of hate crime, in terms of what people have been subjected to. So who knows, I mean, I'm not, it kind of goes back to what you said. Like, I think that this has been going on for Black people in America forever. And I don't know if in our lifetime, as far as we're concerned, it's rising every year.
Yeah. I do think there's some validity to what you said as far as these different police groups and special task force. So it kind of directly correlates with the whole idea of people saying defund the police and stuff like that. You make these new task force and you fund those. So you're not really defunding it, you're just shifting the funds around or something.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people missed that point and didn't understand that defunding the police wasn't about start cutting police jobs and everything. It was about reallocate the money to be more effective.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Hopefully they could actually truly address hate crime instead of just using it as another thing to lead on the news. Yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to see the entirety of the Drink Champs episode or saw the clip of it where Nori, Mickey Fax,
Yeah,
and
I've seen that whole thing.
DJ EFN we had on the podcast. He's a great dude. Where Nori referred to the Wu affiliates as flunkies, and somebody mentioned Shyheim also. So it's, I understand how initially Shyheim was upset about the comment. And I think Nori ended up having a conversation with Killah Priest about it. And it seems like Killah Priest and Nori worked through whatever their dilemma was.
Yeah.
But that didn't seem to be suffice for Shyheim. And Shyheim's another dude we had on the podcast. Good dude, starting to go back to making his music and getting the buzz up again and everything. So now there's a rift inside, I don't know if you say Wu-Tang or Wu Affiliates camp between Shyheim and Killah Priest, because Shyheim feels as if Killah Priest kind of let them off easy. And the irony of this, though, is that both of them, both Shyheim and Killah Priest, have had separate conversations with Nori and the Drink Champs crew, and they seem to have moved past it. So I don't know, what's your take on this? How do you think Shyheim and Killah Priest can resolve this? Is this something that can be resolved?
I mean, I think it could be easily resolved. I think, for one thing, I was watching the Shyheim response to Priest's conversation with Nori, saying that they just played him. He didn't even get an apology or something. I mean, I watched the Nori thing, and he did apologize. He's like, if he said anything that offended him anyway, he apologized. But I think that was him. Shyheim seemed like he felt like Priest just gave in too quickly. But at the same time, what does he have to gain by not giving in quickly? I mean, he invited him on the show, which is something that's probably big for them, because a really big show, a big opportunity. I mean, personally, I don't think he would have got invited otherwise. Yeah. He invited Shyheim on the show, too. Another person that I think, like you said, is rebuilding his career that I don't think would have got invited otherwise. I mean, granted, was him. I mean, if you listen to it, Nori wasn't the one that added Shyheim.
No.
I think it was EFN, right? Yeah, that was EFN and Mickey Fax. My thing is, the crazy thing is that they seem to take just as much. They take so much offense with Nori. What about nobody say like Mickey Fax and FN and all this stuff? Like they obviously said something, but Mickey Fax, he just like walked away from it.
Yo, Mickey Fax is paying restitution though now. You ain't hear he got a new track with Shyheim? What? Yeah, he on the new track with Shyheim. I ain't gonna front, the track is fire too. Like somebody said that he's spitting for his life on that track. Like it's on Instagram. Yeah, what's the name? Shyheim. I kind of, when I first seen his initial response to him, I'm like, Shyheim kind of going too hard. Like, you're talking about he demanded monetary compensation or something. I'm like, yo, you gonna call Salino and Bonds?
I mean, realistically, I mean, he called him a flunky or something. I mean, it could have been worse. I mean, it could have been realistically or something like. If Nori's a nice guy, he could have flipped it the other way. He's like, listen, when's the last time somebody said your name?
Yeah, it was. You know what it is? People said that he's sitting up there. They said Nori's sitting around getting drunk. That they getting drunk and just saying whatever it is. But to the Nori's credit, he apologized. I thought an apology would suffice to both of them or to all of them, and to extend that olive branch to have them come on and promote whatever it is that they do. I know Killah Priest does a podcast also. So to have them come on and talk to me, I thought that was fair enough. I don't know what Shyheim is looking for out of it, but I'm hoping that Shyheim and Killah Priest can reconcile, because to me, I see it just, to me, like, why do you need a rift in a camp over something like that? Like you started out and Drink Champs was the common enemy, and now because one person said, I'm gonna let bygones be bygones. Like, even if Shyheim felt that way, I feel like he could have probably spoke to Killah Priest behind closed doors about it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these two guys and stuff like that. I mean, both of them are trying to do certain things. I mean, Shyheim's trying to get back into music. Killah Priest doing his podcast. I mean, I'm sure even when they perform, because they are Wu affiliates and stuff, they probably get on the same billings a lot of time and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is somebody that he's probably interacting with, fairly. It's not like he's not interacting with him. Yeah. Why do you even have these type of issues? You got to continue to interact with them, because that's part of the way, probably how you make money.
Yeah.
So you might as well just let that situation go. Both of you would be better off going on Drink Champs, talking about it or something. Talk
Mhm.
about something else. Whatever. I mean, for on Nori's side or something, like you said, Nori drinks, laughs, jokes or something. I
Mhm.
mean, he says a lot of stuff about a lot of people. Not everybody's, likes what he says. They're not the only people or something. I mean, and it's not like he only talks about small people. He talks about big guys too, different like things
Yeah.
that he heard and stuff like that. Like, I mean, just to talk about real quick, I don't know. Did you see the Cameron episode?
I did. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
but Cameron's like, I really wasn't messing with you because somebody in your camp said this.
Yeah. I saw that.
So there's a lot of things he said. He's like, I either said it, I didn't say it, I don't remember or whatever. But yeah, you can't get really too upset. That's just part of the stick of the show too.
Yeah. I, I mean, I get it. I know Nori's sitting up there in the mix for good entertainment. The funniest part about all this also is that I was reading like Nori's comments and reading Shaheem's comments after this stuff. To me, that's like a lot of the stuff that transpired. The actual content is not nearly as good as seeing the people's response and reading the comments and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
that I have to say. And a lot of people was coming for Nori. Like, you talking about your show is giving people their flowers, but you up here calling them flunkies and all this stuff.
I mean,
I wonder, honestly, I wonder if people would have really, if Shaheem didn't really bring it to the forefront, if it wasn't highlighted, if people would have just would it let it gloss over and wouldn't have anything to say about it.
I think so. I don't think that. I mean, obviously for Shaheem it was a personal thing because it was in relation to him, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody really would have said anything about it because it's not really something in the public eye or something like they would have just let it glaze through and go by.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen. Now, eventually, you have people that say stuff like, if he comes out with music and comes back up, somebody like, wait a minute, is that the dude that Nori called a flunky?
Yeah.
That type of stuff. But realistically, I mean, when you talk to these guys, I remember what somebody was saying. Well, I think Killer Priest was telling something about being socially responsible or something like that, or
Yeah.
with what he says and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
mean, and the whole giving people the flowers and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's almost like giving out like people want the flowers, but there's not a participation award either where everybody should we just gonna just celebrate everybody who ever made a song or something.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, at the end of the day, Shaheem leveraged it into getting on the show to promote whatever it is he wants to promote. So the nature of their show is going to be probably what about like the well, Shaheem has a story because we interviewed him, so he could
Yeah,
talk about his history in hip hop. He could talk about being incarcerated. He could talk about what he's working on now. But I'm
yeah,
sure what'll drive that episode will be the discussion about the conflict that they had. And I don't, maybe because I'm not Shaheem, so it doesn't resonate as much with me, and I'm not as offended. But I could see how a dude like Killer Priest would just be like, he apologized, whatever, keep it moving.
yeah.
So hopefully they can work it out though, because to me, I think that Wu-Tang has a lot of momentum, especially with season 2 coming
Yeah,
back on, even though the affiliates are not necessarily in it. But I think just that umbrella of even being labeled Wu-Tang affiliate, like a lot of people got a look for being associated with Wu-Tang. So I'd hate to see them ruin a second look.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on this stuff with McDonald's? When McDonald's considering closing indoor dining due to the Delta variant, you think that's good or bad for them?
I give them credit because I think it's definitely socially responsible because I know just from being in downtown Manhattan, people were being at McDonald's, the line, the seats like packed in there. Like, you go to McDonald's and you see that sign where it says a certain amount of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Those McDonald's in say downtown Manhattan stuff are packed to capacity at times.
Wow.
And you're talking about like spreading the thing, like going to pick up a cheeseburger as a super spreader event or something.
Mm-hmm.
So them closing it down and not allowing people to sit is being socially responsible. Plus, I don't think they'll lose any money on it. I think that people will still go, and I think it's unfortunate in some cases. Like if you live kind of like in the suburbs, they closed the dining thing. That kind of limits it to people who have cars because I don't know if they have those walk-up windows everywhere. So that might be an issue.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of McDonald's, like I think McDonald's may have got just getting a jump start on becoming automated because I don't, unless you really want to have your kids in a germ-infested ball pit, is sitting in a McDonald's like a really great experience? Maybe somewhere. I mean, I grew up in the inner city in New York City, and it wasn't like it was a fine like fine dining. You're not eating Michelin star.
Yeah, I don't think it's no place that you really want to sit down unless you have to. And I think you're right about the automation. That the it's great for McDonald's and bad for people to some extent, because
Jobs.
what's gonna happen is, like, in the Walmart near me, they have a big screen where you can actually customize the food and everything. Like, you pick something, you customize the sandwiches, remove stuff and all types. So it's like, and like you said, you could pay at that thing too. You pay there, they give you the receipt, and you just go pick it up.
Yeah.
Eventually, how many people they're gonna need to do that part of it or something?
The irony of this is, for years they mocked the person that did what at McDonald's. The person that was on the fries, right?
Yep.
Well, you on the fries. The person on the fries might be the only person they need now. You on the fries and you hand the money, but eventually they may figure out some way to bring the money, not the money, the food, some way to transport the food to the person without even needing, like you go to the bank. Chase got the same thing going on, where they got the super ATMs also, where everything you could do with a teller, you could do with the super ATM. It reduces the workforce. So I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that McDonald's, if they do it, they're ahead of the curve. And I think it's consistent with like a lot of other places that they realize with the pandemic that, do we really need a physical location? Do we need a brick and mortar to do business? So you're reducing the overhead. The only issue but the only thing that I noticed recently, I don't know if you've experienced this, there's been a lot of remodeling of McDonald's. I've seen a lot of remodeling, so I don't know if they're going to take a hit on that because they spent money to do all that remodeling, and now nobody's going to be in their dining rooms. But I've never seen anybody really be gung-ho or get super excited about sitting in McDonald's and actually eating their food.
No, I think, like you said, there is a lot of remodels going on everywhere, and I do think eventually they'll come up with some different technologies, as far as like even having a burger shoot or something, where some kind of thing where it comes down, because it's probably not hard to do. I mean, I think that if you look at it, well, McDonald's burgers are not even fried. I think they're steamed or something, or in a drawer or something crazy.
Yeah, they are. They steamed in the, like, all their food is pretty much steamed in the drawer. Only one probably fried is the fries, and like the Chinese restaurant cook more than McDonald's.
Yeah, so you don't have to have many people back there. Like you said, the only person that's cooking is the fry guy.
Mm-hmm.
You take them steamed burgers, instead of leaving them in the drawer, just the burger, wrap the bread and the paper on it, and just slide it down a strip or something. So I could see something like that coming or something in the future. But you're right. I think the pandemic helped them get a jump on it, and a lot of other businesses probably realize, like, the real business is not in the building. The business is the business.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I guess, that this is where you could tell, like, Fortune 500 companies and the CEOs and the people that they got behind them, because a lot of people don't realize McDonald's itself, McDonald's makes their money in real estate, and franchising and stuff like that. That's where the real money is. So when you start talking about not having physical people in, I guess they probably feel like, who cares? You still got about a franchise license to sell and distribute all the stuff and the trademark and all that. So they're not missing a beat with this. And it comes across, like you started by saying, that, it's socially responsible. You're doing the right thing. You're being considerate that you're not spreading COVID. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just being real with you. Like, I think if McDonald's was McDowell's and it was a small business that relied on that, I don't know if they'd be that willing to be like, yo, I'm gonna close my indoor dining, because a lot of restaurants took a hit during the pandemic. You know who restaurant closed during the pandemic? The lady on Channel 5, Rosanna Scotto.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like, she had an Italian restaurant, her and I think her father, for many years, and I think they closed as a result of the pandemic.
Oh wow.
Think about all the places that prior to the pandemic had no takeout option, no delivery, and then people start realizing, like, you know what, maybe we do need to have takeout. Maybe we do need to work with Uber Eats or Postmates or whatever it is to get it done. So so McDonald's is ahead of the curve on this.
Yeah, I think some of the restaurants and stuff, like you said, that closed. I think a lot of people were late adopters to a lot of things and caught on late and stuff like that. Like doing the ordering. Like some places got smart. Like they started changing laws where people could actually buy drinks in plastic cups and stuff like that. But the pandemic, if you didn't adapt quickly, you pretty much was starting to go under. And a lot of places, like you got a lot of places going under and stuff. And like you were saying with McDonald's with the franchise thing or something, that's almost like having one of those taxi medallions or something.
Yeah.
They don't care how much money you make at the cab. You bought the medallion already. So
yeah. So McDonald's McDonald's gonna win regardless. Like the branding alone behind it, and that's why I said like it's really when you think about McDonald's, who we could poll 50 people, and out of those 50 people, I wonder how many people will probably say that they go to McDonald's for the dining.
The dining, yeah.
You know, it's not really that big of a deal. And with all the health awareness and stuff, you know, who's gonna put even prior to COVID, people were screaming about those ball pits and those was germ infested. So who gonna put their kids in that now? Like they're not losing anything. The dining room has been reduced significantly anyway because they put the kiosk up to get automated and to reduce the amount of staff. So jobs are gonna be cut and they're not gonna need as many people.
The only places you see McDonald's really filled up in the dining area is next to high schools.
It's a hangout spot.
Yeah, that's it. There's no other reason why you even see people in there. Like most of the people are getting the food and leaving, but it's a hangout area. But other than that, nobody's looking to go into McDonald's and sit down for no fine dining at McDonald's.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but did you hear that they said that R. Kelly used to cruise the McDonald's in Chicago?
I can believe that. Well, when he got out of jail, the first thing he wanted was 2 Big Macs. Yeah, he wanted to go to McDonald's when they let him out. That's the first place he went was the McDonald's. So that might be a place the high school kids hang out there, and that's kind of his thing. So you and McDonald's R. Kelly show up regularly.
Oh man, when he got out before, because he's still locked up now, right?
No, when he got out before in between, like he went to McDonald's. That was the first place he went to, McDonald's.
I guess he wanted to see what was still shaking on the block.
Yeah.
Yo, let me see what's still popping in the hood. Oh yeah, that dude is wild. Yo, China is reducing video game time to 3 hours a week. You think this is good or bad?
I mean, I think it's good for kids, but I think it's bad for the economy since they're the ones who produce all the games. Like, it's kind of counterproductive. Like, listen, we don't want y'all playing video games. We're gonna keep making them. Maybe they plan is to sell them to other countries more than their own because
they know Americans consume entertainment.
Yeah, 3 hours is still kind of extreme because I know they go to school longer, but they don't go to school 7 days a week. Like, can't even play on the weekends or something. 3 hours.
The only time you could play, I think they said on a holiday for an hour, and on the weekend, Saturday 1 hour, and Sunday 1 hour.
You know the problem with that too is I think they're confused. Like, maybe they might be able to do it. So let's think of it in terms of like America. Just because I tell you can't play video games, that doesn't mean you're gonna do something necessarily productive with that time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't play video games. You're gonna take away the cell phone too. They can't talk on the phone, or they can't do instant messaging and be on social media. So it's not like, listen, maybe in China they could say, okay, we're gonna fill up this time with something else, but what's the productivity? How's it gonna help?
Yeah, you talking about a communist country though? Like, isn't Facebook or something social media over there? Someplace?
Yeah, that's banned.
So I'm sure they could figure out a way to regulate it. To me, when I first heard this, I was like, yo, this really is why China be kicking our butt when it comes to things like engineering and stuff like that. Because they're like, yo, our time is better suited doing these kind of things. It is counterintuitive though, if you're the person who you produce the video games, but you don't want people playing them. But you know what? I'm sure they probably realize America is probably the biggest consumer of the video games, so their market is not going to be hurt. Like, 3 hours to me a week is excessive. I think that's excessive. But then I was thinking about, I'm like, damn, when we was kids, I don't know if we paid, because when we were kids, video gaming was different in a sense that in order for you to actually game with your friends, they had to physically be there.
Yeah.
And most of the time you spent time with your friends. You was in the park playing basketball, baseball, football, hanging out or whatever. So the reality of it is like, did we play 3 hours? We probably played around that amount of time a week.
That's back when people used to go outside. Yeah, we only played maybe 3 hours of time, and it was, you think about it, you wasn't playing on Saturdays.
because
Saturdays
everybody
you
was
were
out.
out the whole day.
Yeah.
I mean, you might play like maybe late or something for a
Hmm.
couple of minutes.
But it
But
was.
excuse me, but realistically, you just were. It wasn't no time in your schedule to find to play video games all the time. But
Mhm.
like you were saying, America's the biggest consumer nation. They making a lot of money right now because they got to figure they got NFL 2K coming, 2K22 coming out, NBA 2K22. They making a killing right now in America. So
Yeah. I look. It's with good intentions that they doing it, and I understand, like, because I honestly I believe in this country, like, there needs to be some limits set around video gaming. I feel like video gaming is highly addictive, and you look at it, and and we should say also that that ban applies to children. Adults are free, I guess, to play as much as they want, but you look at it like kids easily get consumed by games, and I think that there is a direct correlation between these video games and obesity and things like that. And the video games, they understand that. That's why before, remember, the big push was get the Nintendo Wii or the Nintendo
yeah,
trackpad and all that to try to integrate physical fitness into it, But the regulation of the games, I think if they ever tried to do that in America, it would have to be more than 3 hours a week. I just don't think that it's feasible to think that kids in America will be able to keep it to 3 hours a week. Um, but you know what? Maybe if they were able to do it, then people would actually, social interaction would increase. Conflict resolution skills would improve also. And China is on to something with this. If you look at the phones now, all the phones have screen time too to tell people how long they've been
yeah,
on the phone, because they realize that now people have become, like you said, addicted to the phone, and they spend all their time on the phone. When we interviewed the dude with the social media app B Perk, one of the things with his apps that he was saying is that the app has a built-in timer that after you've been on it for a certain period of time, it shuts down and kind of closes it. It locks itself up, and you have to enter a code to open it up or whatever, because they don't want people to become obsessed with the app or obsessed with
yeah.
social media and never could pull themselves away from it. So China, I guess, China being very extreme with it, but I see where they're attempting and trying to go. I don't agree with 3 hours a week though.
Yeah. The craziest thing is they have a statistic on what the average age of a gamer is, and I find this. I mean, it's crazy.
I would
It's
say 30 something.
34 years old is the average
That's
age of a
okay.
gamer.
Yeah, I would say
34.
30 something.
So I'm sitting here like, okay, like you said, it's not gonna really affect this the kids, but imagine, but like, what level of productivity could you have if you're 34 years old and spending most of your life on a video game? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
this has a correlation with things like divorce rates, kids. What's the kids? I mean, what do you do? You get like they. I was even reading something where they're talking about the average person that playing the game has kids, owns a home or is in a home. Like,
Mm-hmm. No, that's what as soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, if I had to guess, I know. I'm like, yeah, that's 30. That got to be 30 something, because games are different now. All of the games, look at what people are playing. The sports, Call of Duty, what is it? Sports, Call of Duty, and there's another Red Damn Dawn or something like that. Like all these different games that the people are playing, those are adult themed games. They know that adults are turning it on. And look at the cost of games. Before, it used to be a big deal if you pay $40. This game is $40 or whatever. I haven't bought like one of them games in a long time, but I'd imagine the Madden or something like that probably got to be like $69.99.
I could tell you what's crazy is that 2K, the new one,
Mm-hmm.
if you want like the features, is $100.
Yeah, see?
There's $100 for it. They give like what they do is this how they get people. They sell a regular version that's like $69.99, and then they get people that go out and buy all that extra stuff like the characters, along with other stuff.
Yeah.
Or they sell a version with most of that stuff in it. But it's like it goes from anywhere between $70 to $100 easy.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah. So if America was interested in actually adopting this philosophy or this policy, I don't know if they would be able to get away with 3 hours a week. I think it's more practical. Even this is stretch saying that, but I think it's more practical to say an hour a day.
Yeah.
Thing for people, and then there are parents that attempt to try to regulate it by telling their kids, well, you can't play into the weekends, or you can't play till you're done with your homework, or whatever it is. But them video games could be a huge source of huge source of contention, you know. And remember, yo, we played video games before there was a pause button.
Yeah.
You know?
Go to games. Yeah.
So you had to be on there. You literally had to be on from start to finish. You know.
One thing about the video games too that's different now too. A lot of people, regular people, make money off of stuff like just playing the game. Mm-hmm. People watch people play games,
walkthroughs and stuff.
All types of like sites and blogs and all types of stuff involving video games. So, I mean, they also cutting down on possible revenue for people because now you lost an audience or something. I mean, it should be 3 hours a week. I got to choose to play the game. I can't watch the game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. You would think. I'm sure that it'd be interesting to monitor and see how China handles this, to see how they regulate. But I got a feeling that China will do a better job at regulating something like this than America will, because China is far more disciplined than we are. So I want to introduce this new segment that we were talking about. And I think it'll be dope. You know, the new segment is called Gimme Five. And, you know, we're going to, from time to time, periodically in different shows, ask people on the show to give us 5 or whatever it is. So it could be, you know, give us Denzel's 5 best movies, your opinion. Give us, you know, the 5 best basketball teams all time, whatever it is. But for this particular episode, I think a good way to kick it off or to start off is I want to know your 5 records. So here's the scenario. You're a DJ and they tell you only have 5 records to play. You don't know who your audience is in terms of where they're from, how old they are, race, ethnicity, any of that. And you're tasked with rocking the party with those 5 records. Give me 5. Give me your 5.
So
tell me why you picked each record.
You're on live. So when I thought about this, the fact that you said you don't know who the crowd is and demographic and stuff, I started thinking about artists that kind of appeal to multiple audiences. And when you look at it, it's like a broad base of artists that do similar type stuff. Mm-hmm. So one of the things is Pitbull, that Time of My Life song with Neo.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that was saying people listen. That's kind of universal. Mm-hmm. You see it get played at places like sporting events and different stuff like that. So that one,
yeah, I didn't think of that. That's a really good one.
Yeah. Now this one's a little different, but I think people like that. DMX, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here.
Party up, yeah. I can see that.
That goes. Rihanna, We Found Love. That was in the joint with Calvin Harris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. What about that?
Starboy by The Weeknd.
Oh, Zayn would love that.
Yeah. And I think with him, depending on the age group, the Michael Jackson, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Yeah, it's funny you got Mike listed because I got Mike as one of mine. I put Michael Jackson, Rock With You.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like Mike is somebody that just he transcends generations. Yeah. Ethnicities, religion, race, whatever it is, I think everybody likes. Mike kind of got like almost like the modern day Bob Marley appeal, where everybody is like, I could go with Mike. I picked in the same vein as you. I thought about, okay, what's something I hear at sporting events? What's something that I've been to other countries and seen people play and people respond to it? So the songs that I picked were that, and then I also thought about like stuff that if a person was young, potentially their parents may have played it or they've heard it at family gatherings. Yeah. So I put Michael Jackson, Rock With You. I put Shakira, Hips Don't Lie.
Yeah.
I put Maria, Carlos Santana.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I put Let's Groove Tonight, Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
And I picked that because I think that, again, to me, that's one of those songs that even for a younger person, you may not know who Earth, Wind, and Fire is, but if you've been to the family cookout or you've been anywhere, you know, around older people, you've probably heard that song. And I think Earth, Wind, and Fire is a band that outside of the States they're recognizable. Yeah, like they have the branding in place that would allow them to transcend beyond the States. Mm-hmm. Like to me, I think that you could probably go somewhere in the Middle East the Middle East and play that song, and people are like, oh, okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And then this one I picked, I was on the fence with. I was like, I don't know, because I felt like I needed something that I felt like I needed something that was hip hop, but it wasn't hip hop. Like you know, like the songs that you're like, all right, like you know what? An example of hip hop but not hip hop is MC Hammer, Can't Touch This.
Yeah,
right? That's the song, but I didn't pick that.
Okay.
That's like hip hop oriented, but people don't count it as hip hop. But so I picked DJ Cool, Let Me Clear My Throat. But I think that's one of those participation records that he's not really saying anything about anything, but I could see, like, if you're a person that's a hip hop person that go to parties, you would be like, oh, okay, that's DJ Cool, Let Me Clear My Throat. And if you're a person who is a casual hip hop person or just a person who don't like hip hop, it has the participation feel like, oh, okay, I see this is a fun record, and you know, this guy's having fun. I could go with this.
You know what? Not thinking of that. You know, some of these songs that we didn't consider, like, they probably would be recognizable, like Electric Side and the Cha Cha Slide, those type of songs.
Yeah.
They would be really recognizable. And then you think about it, most of the people we chose are like internationally recognized artists. Like, there's nobody that's local at all. So, so they got a lot of songs. Then when I was thinking about it, like, I know the guy Calvin Harris makes a lot of hits that go world.
Of course.
His hits are worldwide. And like all these different like international artists, they seem to have a good audience. And it's like anytime you go on these parties, like Shakira was a great one. Yeah, that they play that all the time. And you just look at it like it's the same artists that you Shakira's, the Rihanna's. And like you said, Zayn would love it. His Weekend and Michael Jackson comparison and stuff like that. You know, he would love that. And how Pitbull calls himself Mr. International, right?
Yeah, that's a big record though. Like, definitely, I can see that. You know what I'm thinking? Like, as we talk about this, and I wonder. So, we automatically, when coming up with the 5, we automatically went to, you know, international and stuff like that. What if the 5 you picked? Do you think that 5, if it was in the middle of the South Bronx and Forest Projects, how you think people?
I think DMX and Michael Jackson would rock. Those two.
Rihanna though, we found love.
Rihanna would rock. Some people might like The Weeknd, some of that stuff. I don't know. You know what? Pitbull might, depending on where you at.
And with you and Forest Projects in the
Nah, that's not gonna rock. That they're gonna be real upset you even put it on. It's not gonna happen.
Oh man,
Pitbull ain't rocking that.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Right. I mean, the based on where you at, the demographic would be completely different. Like when you say it, you got to think at a larger scale because realistically, I couldn't see many of these songs appealing to the people who like country music and stuff like that. I mean, so, but then you know what? There's other people like I thought about some guys like you know what might have been pretty good. Nelly, Hot
in Here.
Hot in Here, yeah.
Yeah, Hot in Here. Hot in Here is a record I think that you could get it. You could get it off in Forest Project, and you definitely get it off in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah,
like, you know, like something like that. Yeah, that's something. And I mean, I don't know how Hot in Here would play in some of the other countries because they're probably secular.
Yeah,
but it's you know, it's you think about it though, it's like, you know, you're trying to identify those 5 records and really looking because automatically you go to I need to think about what's going to resonate abroad or whatever. But while you're thinking about what's going to resonate abroad, you're like, yo, all right, the place that I grew up may not want to hear these records.
Yeah,
you know, like, and I've talked to other people about this and heard other people's 5. Somebody said It Takes Two. Rob, I'm like, that's a good one. It Takes Two. I forget what some of the other ones I heard people say, but it's, I mean, this is what DJs I think are tasked with all the time. You know, like if you book a gig sight unseen, you don't know where you're going. Yeah. They're like, yo, you going out to such and such. So then you got to go research and see what's rocking out there.
You know what's sad? At a point before he got into all this crazy stuff, R. Kelly had like when he got all them stepping songs, people were saying he could have got that off at a lot of different parties everywhere.
Yeah. At this point, I don't know if you've seen, they gave Drake flack for giving him songwriter credit when he sampled on his new album Half on a Baby, but that's not Drake's fault. If you use the man music, you got to give him credit. credit for it.
You know what it is? They want to choke his money because now he's got to get some money off of that. That's gonna give him some money. So they give him resources. That's another person I thought about too when I was doing this worldwide thing because he's got some songs that could possibly resonate or something like that.
Hotline Bling, maybe.
Yeah, Hotline Bling and that I Better Find Your Love stuff. Those type of songs. Yeah.
Yeah, he could. Did you listen to his new album?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty good. You know, it's funny. Everybody's not even listening to the album. They're just gauging it to say whether it's better than Kanye West. Is it better than Kanye's?
Yeah. That's definitely it. Like that's the litmus stick for it. Not if the content is good.
Yeah.
Is it better than Kanye's? To me, it's two completely different albums. Like the Drake album to me is what I expect from a Drake album. I get a lot of flack from people because I still feel like Drake has not made a classic album. You know, like to me, Drake, one of the issues I have with him is like every album he do got like 18 to 20 some songs on it. And then, you know, he'll have like 8 really good songs. If you put those 8 really good songs on an album with 12 or 13 tracks, then that puts you closer to a classic album.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, a bunch of fillers. And then the other stuff, like this album where he bugged me out with is like he got records on there where I think it's the second record, Daddy's Home or something. Yeah. It's supposed to be like a tough tune coming at people or whatever, but it sounds so soft. I'm like, why is he making these kind of records where you harmonize, you got somebody in the back harmonizing like it's a ballad, or you insulting other rappers? Man, I don't know the logic behind that. Like to me, Drake makes great music. He should just concentrate on making great music. Like I literally, when I was going through his album, I know the recipe and his formula for doing it. So I was like, all right, I need Drake to give me, you know, his one. Usually he gives like one really good R&B track, like Found Your Love. Mm-hmm. What was the joint he had on the Views album? Listen, like he's good for those type of joints, but you know, I don't know. I thought, to me, if you comparing it to Kanye West album, I could listen to that more than I could listen to Kanye West.
Yeah, Kanye went way left. Like he got some songs that are songs, but it seemed like he was trying to make, like in his mind, he's making art. He don't care about whether we like it or not. It's for him. But 50 Cent made a comment about that years ago. If you like it, you making music for yourself, play it in your headphones, and buy it yourself.
Yeah,
Drake's album, like I found it to be funny because it was like Drake and Kanye got beef and everything. It's almost like two dudes throwing feathers at each other or something. Mm-hmm. Like all these subliminals and all this ridiculousness.
Yeah,
you wrote this and that, and I'm not gonna be friends with you no more. And I knew you was gonna turn back. I'm like, this is silly. Here, like a soap opera or something. I'm trying to figure out, did they do this foolishness on purpose?
Probably for marketing. Probably.
Yeah, and then you listen to Drake's songs, Drake's best songs, and it's usually not like this. Some of his best songs are the ones where he's got guest appearances.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing was, I got to give Drake credit for getting Kawhi out there in that damn suit.
That's yo. When I heard that record, I was like, yo, this is gonna be a big record for him.
Yeah.
I think later on I seen you text and was like, he got a video for it, but I knew, I'm like, this is gonna be a big record just because the play on the sexy joint.
Yeah.
My mind automatically went to, yo, I could see people working out to this. I could see like football players practice. I'm like, yeah, this dude gonna have a big record with this.
Yeah. And then for him to get Kawhi, I'm like, man, this dude got Kawhi in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Kawhi laugh would be all right.
They on him now though about his numbers from week 1 to week 2 to decline.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, his numbers declined like drastically, over more than 50% from week 1 to week 2. And the crazy thing about it is Kanye numbers went up, but Kanye dropped that thing on a Sunday or something like that.
You know, it's funny. Somebody's gonna say Kanye got billions of dollars. So remember the old school Jay-Z thing where he bought those records and put them in the warehouse?
Yeah.
Kanye went out and paid for his own streams or something.
Yo, at the end of the day, if it's about money, Kanye already killed the game.
No way, yeah.
He sold that album. He may not have sold like physical copies, but he sold it as an event when he did them 3 different. He did, I think, 2 in Atlanta, 1 in Chicago. 3 different times performed the album, and from the first time when you let me hear that album to when I heard it completed.
It changed each time.
Yeah, but it's not for the better.
No.
I was like, yo.
I mean, his last reiteration before the company must have just pulled the plug on him. He was about to pull Jay-Z and put the baby on the song. So that ought to tell you how crazy he was thinking.
Yeah.
But I will tell you
didn't
this.
watch any of those events.
I'll tell you this. He guaranteed one thing, that Jay-Z will never do another verse for him.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, Jay-Z sitting around, you's going to pull my verse to put the baby on the track?
That's just trolling, though. Because you see Marilyn Manson at the show, too.
Yeah.
Like Kanye West is just trolling just to get a look or whatever it is. Like I think they said he set himself on fire on one of the shows or something like that.
They had something going on. Somebody was making a joke about, would did Kanye wait to see who won out of the Dipset and the Dipset,
and then invited the Locks and put the Locks.
Invited the Locks to the show. The winner gets to be on the show.
Yeah. That's Kanye though. That's Kanye for you though. So thanks for pulling up.
Yo, anytime,
and recording this week. We'll catch everybody next week. Hopefully we supposed to have a good interview lined up for you all. So keep rocking with us. Have a good evening, everybody. Peace.
Right.